So imagine this for a second. Imagine a fear that is so powerful it just completely grips an entire nation. A suspicion that your neighbors, your colleagues, maybe even your favorite actors could be secret enemies, plotting to overthrow your whole way of life. Now, this isn't some movie plot. This was the reality for millions of Americans right after World War II.
It's a really powerful question, right? And it gets right to the heart of what we're digging into here, the second Red Scare. We're going to break down how this massive wave of paranoia even got started, who it targeted, and the kind of impact it left on American society that we can still feel today.
Okay, so let's get into it. This actually wasn't the first time America had a big panic about communism. But this second wave, happening right in the shadow of the brand new Cold War, it was just different. It wasn't just about political radicals anymore. It was about the guy next door, your kid's teacher. This time the fear was absolutely everywhere.
So you have to ask, where did all this anxiety come from? I mean, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. This nationwide fear was a direct reaction to a world that was changing really, really fast and getting super tense. The planet had just barely finished one gigantic conflict, only to slide right into a totally different kind of fight, the Cold War.
Think about what Americans were seeing. They were watching the Soviet Union basically take control of all of Eastern Europe, creating what Winston Churchill famously called an Iron Curtain. And at the exact same time, communism was making huge gains over in Asia. So if you're in the US, it looks like this red tide is just sweeping across the globe. And the big question became, could it happen here? And that question right there is what changed everything. The fear of communism out there quickly turned into a hunt for communists right here. The threat wasn't just external anymore. The belief was that the enemy was already inside the gates. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just some vague, uneasy feeling. Oh no. It became a very specific, very targeted search for hidden enemies, for so-called subversives who were supposedly working from the inside to weaken the country. So, where did they start looking?
Well, pretty much everywhere. The suspicion ran so deep, and the search was exhaustive. The media suspected of spreading propaganda. Labor unions, they were seen as these hotbeds of radical thought. Universities were accused of poisoning the minds of young people. And get this, even the U.S. military came under scrutiny. Literally, no part of society felt safe.
So how did this internal purge actually happen? It wasn't just whispers and rumors. It was a systematic effort with its own set of tools and official institutions designed specifically to root out anyone suspected of being a communist. At the absolute center of it all was a practice that got a name you've probably heard, McCarthyism, named for Senator Joseph McCarthy. And the key phrase here, the most important part, is without proper regard for evidence. That was its superpower. Your career, your entire life, could be completely destroyed based on nothing more than an accusation. And giving this whole campaign an official government seal of approval was the House Un-American Activities Committee, or HUIC. So this wasn't some fringe group. This was a committee of the United States Congress. HUIC held these dramatic, highly publicized hearings, forcing people to testify about their political beliefs and, crucially, to name names of other people. And if you were accused or even just suspected, one of the most devastating things that could happen to you was getting blacklisted. This was huge in Hollywood. I mean, famous writers like Dalton Trumbo, the guy who wrote the classic movie Spartacus, he was blacklisted. He had to work under a fake name for years. His career and so many others just completely derailed, all because of their supposed politics.
So what was the final bill for all of this? I mean, what's the ultimate cost? When a whole society gets consumed by fear, what happens to the values it says it holds so dear? Well, this period put all of America's ideals under some serious pressure.
It's this incredible clash, right? On one side, you have these foundational American ideals, civil liberties, due process, the whole innocent until proven guilty thing. And on the other side, you have the reality of the Red Scare, accusation without any real evidence, and being blacklisted without ever getting a trial. So in the end, in the name of protecting the country from an outside enemy, this whole campaign ended up attacking the very freedoms that were supposed to define America in the first place. The fear of what could happen led to real, tangible damage to the principles of a free society, and it cast this long shadow over things like free speech and the right to dissent for years to come. Which, of course, leaves us with this final massive question, and it's a dilemma that definitely didn't end with the Red Scare.
Figuring out how to balance security and liberty is a challenge that we are still dealing with today. Understanding this moment in history is just a powerful, powerful reminder of what the stakes are and just how fragile those core values can actually be.